Hello and welcome to this Boutiques Connect update with myself, Chloe Mulder. And today I'm joined by Lauren Walker, Head of Sales at Currency Partners. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Chloe.
So Lauren, give us a brief introduction. Who are Currency Partners and what are your offerings?
So Currency Partners is an FX intermediary, currently the largest FX intermediary for private clients in South Africa. We work with some of the largest financial institutions in South Africa to assist them in moving their clients' funds in and out of South Africa. We have 41 staff nationally, we've got offices around the country, and really there to add value to clients and make sure that they're given the best pricing and service in the market.
So Lauren, who are your clients? Are they only larger intermediaries or large investment institutions, or do you have individuals or ultra high net worth clients who are your clients, and who are your services most appropriate for?
So we partner predominantly with IFAs, financial advisors, and wealth planners, asset managers, also SMEs in the corporate space, and attorneys, really partnering with them to assist them and their clients in moving those funds. Also direct clients come to us for assistance too, but very often it's through a partner.
So do importers, exporters, they obviously approach you as well,
Yeah.
and you use some strategies to mitigate the risk of currency fluctuation. So
Yeah.
what are these strategies that you employ or the tools that you use to mitigate the risk of currency fluctuations?
So we've got our dealing desk. They would usually reach out to the client to assist with us and have a conversation. We're very pro having a strategy for every transaction, whether it's an SME or an individual. So we like to have that conversation and engage with the client. There's a number of tools that we use in that space to help the clients and to make sure the strategy is sound. In the private client space and in the SME space, we would have rate alerts. That's really a tool for us to be able to notify the client when a desirable rate is close for them to execute. The second tool would be a market order where we can automatically execute, and that gives them the ability to execute 24 hours a day, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on what the markets are doing. And then we've got hedging products, which is very popular in certain market segments. For SMEs, very popular where they need to price those goods that they're bringing in and ensure that they've got that rand value that will equate to the foreign currency they have to pay offshore. And you can book a forward contract for up to 6 months in advance and a year if it's a firm commitment. In the individual space, we see a requirement there. Towards the end of the year, when an individual has used their annual allowances, but the rate is favorable, they like to book a rate in advance. But in order for them to be able to do that and take advantage of their preferential rate, we have the ability then to book the rate towards the end of the year for the following year. And that means that when we do the pay away, it would come off the next year allowance. So they can still use their next year allowance within this year and take advantage of the strong rand.
So Lauren, you were speaking about these allowances. I mean, the regulations currently enforced by the SARB allow individuals a single discretionary allowance of 1 million rand that they can remit annually. So what are the implications of actually exceeding this threshold?
It's not often that an individual would exceed it. What we often find is that a client would travel abroad and they'd use their credit card, not understanding that is actually falls part of your single discretionary allowance. When we come to doing the transaction, if the client wasn't aware of that and they had instructed 1 million rand to be sent abroad, the Reserve Bank usually picks up on it when the payaway is happening, and then in that case we could then just rectify the value, taking that balance off and then externalizing. So we don't often see that. If they did exceed it and the bank didn't pick up or the SARB didn't pick up on it, usually we can do an application to Reserve Bank to notify them and have it fixed.
So additionally, Lauren, there is a 10 million foreign capital allowance. Does this 10 million allowance, is it permitted only for investments in foreign assets? Who is it appropriate for?
So that allowance is intended for investment purposes overseas, but in order to use your 10 million rand foreign capital allowance, you need a tax clearance certificate. That's one of the things that we do and we help clients with as a complimentary service. In order to do that, you've got to apply to SARS, and you're showing source of funds, that you have those funds and how you earned them in order to externalize that. What clients often are confused by is that the tax clearance is valid for 12 months, but your foreign capital allowance is valid for a calendar year. So there's often an overlap there. And whether it's the advisor or the client, it becomes very difficult to keep track of your allowance balance versus your tax clearance. So we help them with that and we keep track of those balances for them.
Lauren, now focusing on Currency Partners, how does Currency Partners differentiate themselves from other specialist foreign exchange providers in the financial services industry?
So there's quite a number of ways. I think where we really stand out is the value that we add. So from a staff complement perspective, we've got a lot of skill. I know in the business consulting space, all the staff are ex-bankers. They come with lots of experience. So when it comes to the Reserve Bank element of what we're doing, we can really add value in that space and guide the client in the right way. We are paperless, so in everything that we do, we can do it without anyone having to physically fill something in with their pen and paper or print, sign and scan and send it back to us. We've invested money in technology to be able to make the process easier for our partners and for our clients. I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits at this stage, and I don't think we realized what a big advantage that was until lockdown hit and people were stuck at home, and then they were still able to go ahead with their transactions. So I think that's a big one.
Lauren, and then lastly, how can you assist individuals and with financial immigration? And if you can just break that down for us briefly, what is financial immigration and how can Currency Partners assist individuals with financial immigration and consequently tax migration?
So interesting, financial immigration doesn't exist anymore. So it's now tax migration. Financial immigration was a process where you would do an application to the Reserve Bank, your assets and liabilities, and a lot of clients did it because they wanted to withdraw their retirement annuities, or they didn't want to have double taxation because they were living and earning abroad. It's now tax migration, which means the process is not with the South African Reserve Bank, it's now with SARS. So you still declare your assets and liabilities, but effectively you're doing an application to become a non-resident taxpayer. Again, the reasons for doing it are very similar, but to withdraw your annuities, your RAs, that sort of product, you now have to be a non-resident taxpayer for 3 consecutive years before you can do that. And that's a big fundamental difference between the two. And that regulation came in at the end of the 1st of March last year, 2021.
Lauren, so during the pandemic, the South African rand held up quite strongly off the back of strong resource prices and exports. What have been the implications on the rand from the recent conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and what is the outlook?
Well, we've seen the rand hold up very well, considering. There's a few reasons for that. I think, we have very strong commodity prices at the moment, which has a big impact on that. We also had a relatively good budget review just after the war started, so that also has an impact. For us, the range would be between 1480 and 1540, which is quite a wide range still than what we would usually give for the next 3 months. But it really is determined by whether there's war or no war, and that's going to be the deciding factor.
Lauren, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Clary.
Hope to have you again soon.
Thank you.